What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall market. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward as the market has seen some new developments, not to mention the news that's coming out. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. Anyways, looking at SPY in the market, as you could tell, we're still inching a little bit higher, but there's going to be a very, very big test as we approach some big resistances. And we'll see if these numbers could last or not. Will the market get a rejection? And I'll give you guys some answers right now. So the first thing I want to mention is that President Trump mentioned that he wants to cut taxes, at least for people making under $200,000, because he wants to fund the government more with tariffs. So keep that in mind. And then there was some news that came out that IBM wants to invest over $150 billion to boost US tech growth and computer manufacturing. So that's another big piece of news that has been coming out. Besides that, today is Monday, April 28th, 2025. At 10:30 a.m., we have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index report. And at 11:30 a.m., we have the 3 and 6 month bill auctions, which could cause a little bit more volatility. On top of this, I want to mention that we just had Domino's announcing their earnings, very minor earnings for today, but starting tomorrow, things get very serious. From Tuesday, we have SoFi and PayPal before market open. On Wednesday and Thursdays after close, we have lots of big tech earnings from Microsoft and Meta, not to mention Amazon and Apple. So keep that in mind for the week. Lastly, when it comes to big news, the market's trying to inch back as we're seeing the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ Composite, and many of them trying to push this morning. But you also want to keep in mind that with all these tech earnings, that could be affecting things a lot. With some news about China, we're going to be listening to see what happens with these tariffs between the US and China because President Trump is mentioning that there's going to be a big trade deal coming. So we'll see what happens with negotiations and such. We're just going to be waiting for that, especially as time goes on. So keep that in mind. And then when it comes to other pieces of news, we'll be listening to see what else comes out with any other updates from President Trump and such. So, with that being said, what do I think is going to happen so far? Well, obviously, guys, I think the market's going to try to push a little bit higher for the time being. But as you guys know, and from my videos yesterday, I did give you guys a warning that SPY, the QQQ, and many others are developing these rising wedges. So, that basically gives us a warning about how this is going to move. So I think that SPY might try to get close to 555. If we break that, we could be pushing to fill this imbalance close to like 565. But keep in mind that even as we try to push right here, even if, as we try to see a lot of buyers stepping in, right, you want to be very, very careful. So we could push for like 555, could go a little higher. We'll see about if we could go higher or not. But then there's going to be a risk of a rejection. If we end up losing this low right here, especially at like 544, we're going to be at risk of seeing a bigger rug pull from this rising wedge. So you want to be very, very careful. If we could hold above 555, obviously we're going to remain bullish. If we can't hold, if we hit this 555 level and reject, we're looking to see if this wedge will pan out depending on the news. All right, so it all depends on can we hold 555 or not. I presume SPY will try to get close to 555 and we'll see if we get a rejection or not. We're very close to it right now. So look for a little bit of upside upon open and we'll see if the level holds or not. Like I said before, if we get a rejection, we'll be watching it very closely. On the QQQ, we're looking pretty good, higher highs and higher lows. We're looking for 473 as resistance in the 475 to 478 area. I could see an attempt to push higher, but we'll see if we get a rejection off this. If we lose 466, we're looking for a dump back down. If we break 478, we're going to remain bullish. I do think we push a little bit closer to 475 or so, and we'll see if this gets a rejection. There's also a rising wedge on this. The IWM may be testing 195 to 198, and we'll see if we reject. If we lose 191, we're looking for a dump back down. ES might be getting closer to 5600. We'll see if this rejects. Look for 5580, then 5600. We'll see if we get a rejection. If we lose 5480, we're looking for a dip back down. Let's look for small attempts to push. On NQ, we're looking for an attempt for basically 19,600 to 19,800. We'll see what the reaction happens to be like. If we lose 19,193, we're looking for a dip back down. I'm looking for an attempt to push to 19,750 just to see how things go. Tesla's approaching 292. We actually touched that during the pre-market. We did reject 3 times off that level. If that breaks, we could get closer to 300, but be careful in this range between 292 and 300. There's been many rejections historically on Tesla between those levels, so just be careful. It might push a little bit higher to 292 to 300, but then we'll see how it goes. Nvidia has a gap to fill. We could be looking for 112 to 113. We need to hold above 113 to remain bullish. If we can't break it, if we just kind of touch 113 reject, we're looking for a move back down to 105. So be careful. Amazon, or not Amazon, Apple is trying to push back up to about 112 to 212 to 213. We'll see if we reject off that or not. I do think we might be pushing to like almost 213. If it rejects, we're looking for 205 as the main support, so keep that in mind. Coinbase is looking bullish. We're looking for basically this 212 to 215 area, and we'll see if we reject off this or not. If we do, we could be turning back down to 200, so give this the time it needs. For Amazon, we're looking a bit more bullish. We're looking for an attempt for basically this 193 area. If this rejects here, we could be turning back down to 186. So lose 186, we dump back down to about 180 and break 193 and we remain bullish. We could be pushing to 193 and we'll see if we reject or not, so give it some time. Meta's looking bullish. We're looking for basically 560 to about this like 565 area. I do think we could be pushing to the low 560s, and we'll see if we reject. There's a gap to fill down here at 547. Might be a small push, and we'll see if we get a rejection. Microsoft is looking bullish. We're looking for an attempt to push to about 395 to 400. And if we end up losing 387, we dip back down. Look for somewhat of a push for now to 395 to 400. We'll see if we get a rejection. Google needs to hold above 165. If it kind of hits this, we'll see if it rejects back down to 160. So be very careful. The VIX is also on a bit of a downtrend. We're looking for this gap fill all the way down to about the 21 to 22 area. But then we'll see if we get a breakout from this wedge or not. So keep that in mind. Anyways, that is it for my video. Watch your levels closely. The market's going to try to push for now, but we'll see if we get a rejection off these key levels. Thank you for listening. Make sure you watch them carefully and pay attention to the news. Have a good day, guys, and peace out.